Hello, and welcome to Your Recipe for Financial Success, partnered with the Money Compass Group. In each of our Money Journey episodes, Julie brings to you a special guest to share their treasured memories, along with the highs and lows of their very own unique and emotional money journey.
Hi, Kelly. It's lovely to have you with us on our Money Journey podcast today. Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
I would love to, but firstly, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a real pleasure. I think as a fellow host of a podcast show, it's lovely to be able to give people the opportunity to just speak and share their truth. So thank you, Julie. So listeners, I'm Kelly Forrester. I am the Resilience and Growth Leader. I also own a business with my partner, Martin Miller, Over the Edge. And we're all about training and development and helping people to achieve success in a new entrepreneurial world. Aside from all of that, obviously, I have my own podcast show, Entrepreneur Truths, which I absolutely love and adore. I am a business mentor, talking about the stuff that some people don't. For instance, my hashtag is fuck fear. And I also am about to release a chapter in a book. And for 2021, one of my kind of goals really is to write a full version of that, so a full book. And I think that's about it. And I also speak globally. I love speaking and sharing my truth. So yeah, thanks, Julie.
So not very much at all then, Kelly. You're not very busy at all.
Oh, by the way, I also have 4 teenagers, a dog, a collie dog, who is great at taking me away from when I work. I get into flow and I forget time. And we experienced this morning. And so he's great at taking me out in nature, which is what I really love to do as well.
No, I think it's really important to get yourself away from it as well. I know exactly what you mean. If someone didn't make me a cup of tea every day, then I wouldn't actually drink anything all day. So,
no, I know the
thing. So my first question for you today, Kelly, is what is your earliest money memory?
Ooh. Oh, wow. For me, well, I started being an entrepreneur actually from probably the age of around about 8 or 9.
Okay.
So I got my mum to do Avon. So I would then I would make the money from doing 3 or 4 miles with the Avon books, delivering them. I also my mum worked in a big castle in St Ives in Cornwall, and we did telesales. So at the age of 12, I would go in and help and pick up the phone and ring through these inquiries. And then just before I was 13, she'd then take me down onto it's like a beach front. I don't know if you know St Ives, it's gorgeous.
I have been,
and
yeah,
we just stand in the little street and go, would you like to win a bottle of wine? And then they would win a bottle of wine, but obviously the whole thing there was they would then go to Tregenna Castle, and then somebody within the sales and marketing would then try and sell them a timeshare. Do you remember the timeshares?
I remember being caught in Spain somewhere and ended up miles from anywhere to actually having to walk back to where we were staying. So when we got, definitely I've been there and done that. Yeah.
They sound quite glamorous, but the other things I've done is I've done lots of cleaning, because at Tregenna they had all the houses that I could clean, and I was very money orientated, and I liked to be able to have that extra money. I saved up for a stereo and just little things that I had in my life very early on. But also I had, when I was must have been around about 13, 14. It was before I left home, and I left home when I was just coming up to 15. But I had a paper round. Everyone had a paper round, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's one day of a week where I had 2 bags full of newspapers, and riding my bike with these heavy bags as a young girl, and I'm quite short as well. Yeah, it was interesting, but it kind of set me up for interacting and connecting with people, having discipline about money and orientation of it as well, and having a belief that I could, for working hard, I could earn money. So there's a little clue there.
No, that's very good. Actually, my first job was reserve paper girl, which was the best job ever. I think possibly I've ever had. I used to get paid £4 a week for being on call. So unless somebody was ill or on holiday, I just stayed in bed. So I got paid £4 a week for basically sleeping in. So it was probably the coolest job ever. So
I thought you were going to say something else. I thought you were going to say like that your mum and dad were proud because you got your job, but you didn't really have to do it because you'd only have to go when somebody sort of let the news agency, down, and so it was great because you didn't have to do it. But to earn money from doing nothing,
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
lucky.
And I think I had it for about 18 months, because what would happen is there was a list of people who wanted to do a paper round, and so there were 6 paper rounds in our village. So the 7th person, which was me at the time, would be reserved. So when someone left out of the other 6, I would then take the next paper round, and then the next person would move up on the list. So an actual paper round was only £6 a week. So I only got an extra £2, actually having to get out of bed at 6 o'clock every morning to go and deliver the papers.
That's crazy. That's great.
Yeah. So was there anything that you said you bought your stereo with your first, what you saved up for your stereo of your money? When you actually got your first job, did you get your wage slip in your hand? Did you go out and buy something like really exciting with it?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to have, and I remember it really vividly, actually. I've always been into music, and I always had do you remember the cassette Walkmans?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it became CDs, those big clunky things with the great big earphones. And so anyway, naturally, I think the ecosystem, and it had a CD player on the top, and that was what I really wanted. And so I knew that 1 week's worth of wages wasn't going to achieve my stereo system. So I agreed with my mum, look, if I give you all my wages, and we worked it out, it was like something ridiculous, like 40 weeks, I would then be able to have my hi-fi. But of course, what happened was I'd done, 20 weeks or so, and mum then paid for the rest of it as a surprise and bought me my sound system, which was amazing. But I remember the first CD that I had was Snow, Informer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's kind of like a bit of a dancey one, but I remember dancing around and being so happy because I had worked really hard to get something that I wanted. Yeah.
I'm quite anal, so I think that once I got into music, I was like, I must buy every single #1 for that year. So I think from about 89 onwards, I actually owned a single cassettes originally, which then went on to single CDs, up to about 1993. So which I think they have all gone now. Don't worry, I don't have that collection still in the loft. So.
Mine was the Nows. I had all of the Nows.
And I saw the Nows in Tesco's last night. We're now on Now 107.
Oh my God.
And my parents had Now 1 as an LP.
Yeah. I don't remember one, but I think I must have got in around about the 30s. I think I don't know. I can't remember. But
no, my one was Now 8. So you must have been. I was going to say you're a similar age to me. I would have thought, Kelly. So I would have.
You're asking me my age on podcast.
Well, obviously not on podcast, no. But I'm going to guess that we are similar age. So, but I definitely remember having Now 8. So you must have been around the same sort of time. I would have thought. So, or
I'm a 79 babe.
You're a 79 babe. Okay, well, I'm a 77 babe. So yeah, so you might have get 9. You would probably got Now 10. So excellent.
Yeah, music was always something I put my money into, and I always enjoyed. I got a lot from it as well. It's like escapism, isn't it? And I had quite a sort of adverse childhood, so it was nice to have that place to go, much to my mum and dad's disgrace, because you know when your dad kind of gets the broomstick and kind of goes boom boom boom, quiet, and I'd be like,
I grew up in a bungalow, so I didn't have that bit, but I do remember if I was annoyed with my parents, I would go and play. Do you remember Everything About You, Ugly Kid Joe?
Yes.
I used to go in my bedroom and play it on full blast, like, I hate everything about you. I don't think they were that
brilliant.
So that's it. Right. So let's go back to our main topic. So the reason you're here, Kelly, is to actually share with us your money journey. So would you like to tell us in your own words your journey?
Yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, I share some of my business journey with people anyway on my other talks that I do, because I think I said I kind of talk about stuff that sometimes people shy from. And I think sometimes it's not even the question that they shy from, it's because until you know, you don't know. So you only do what you can with the resources and with what you have at that time. And if you don't know, you don't know at that time. And it's as simple as that. So as a business owner, it's great, and obviously I share that love and fondness of podcasting and interviewing people and understanding about their individual journey through life. And for me, it's that entrepreneurial journey, and I love it. But we talk about the wins, we talk about the highs, we talk about the things that we're kind of fighting and, becoming like this warrior to achieve. And we talk about the greatness of being an entrepreneur. And believe you me, having money, I would say from quite a young age, responsibility, because I left home when I was just coming up for 15, I was on my own. So I had to learn how to manage paying for rent, paying for washing, paying for food at that age. And I have children at that age now, and I think, Christ, you have a bad enough job to put your pants that have been washed for you in your drawer. God damn you. But that was my life, and it's not theirs, and it's not what I would want for my children either. And coming from that, at the age of 20, I also was in a very manipulative, it was just an awful relationship, Julie. I had no money control. I had nothing really. He would drop me to work, I would work, and then I would come home. I didn't have friends. He cut me from my family. I was almost imprisoned in a house for 2, maybe 3 years of my life, with having a son. And so the money side of that is how somebody can take that away from you and how that feels. Because quite often I talk about the domestic violence, I talk about what happened to me and how I went from being a very outward, outspoken as I am now, confident person, to hardly being able to string a sentence together through fear of being beaten. And so if there is anyone that is in a relationship where they have no control, or they've had money taken from them, or they've had their credit card taken from them, or just their bank card, which is what I had, or they worry that their partner is taking out debt in their name, which happened to me, then there are people now, and this is what I love, there are people you can talk to that can help you. You don't have to feel on your own anymore, like I did. And there are people that are strong enough through all the shit that they've gone through in their life that they don't care because, about people, oh, well, she's saying this, because for the first 20 years of my life, I was worried about what my parents would think. So I wouldn't talk about it. But now I do, because I know the value in how it could maybe help just one person. So it's not just about the domestic violence, it's about the money, the lack of freedom I had with choice of money. Yeah. So I remember leaving when it was Millennium Eve. It was the last time he had actually put me into hospital. And I left with a bin bag full of my clothes and my baby son's clothes. That's all I had. And I went into this woman's kind of centre, the police, arranged for me to have a safe place. And then I went into rented, and basically I worked, hard working mum in property, and I kind of got my confidence back again. And I began to learn about money, but I realised that I had £18,000 worth of debt that I hadn't taken.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a great start with a great relationship and great emotions attached to money. And I don't think I'm alone in that story.
No, unfortunately, I don't think you are, Kelly. No.
And it's so unfair, because I know that there's more help now than there was, like we were saying. I'm 41, 42 this year. That happened nearly, 20, my son's 22, so 22 years ago. And it's slightly different, but people automatically think people going through a relationship like that, where the control has been taken, maybe financially, and there might be domestic violence or any of those things, they think that people will naturally talk out about it.
No, they don't.
But you don't, because you haven't got a phone, you're scared to leave the house, you can't ask for a card because the last time you did to buy some milk at the shop, or even just, it sounds, I feel embarrassed saying it, but just to get monthly like sanitary pads. And it would be like I was asking for the world. So it is important to talk about it. And if you are in that situation, anybody listening, then, please get the help that you need. There's a great lady who is Catherine Morgan, and she has just qualified to help women that are going through domestic violence and have had financial control taken away and things like that. So adverse situations for women. And I just think that's amazing. So because I don't think I even knew that was even around when I was younger. So it's lovely that there are women that do that to help others that might be in that situation. Also, if you're listening and you've come through that, this is something really important, is that doesn't have to be it. Like, you don't get stuck there. You can move on. You can find happiness. You can find somebody that doesn't treat you like that. You can take responsibility for your money. You can create money. You can invite money into your world, and you can be ultra successful. So just because things happen, it doesn't mean that that's where you are staying or stuck or destined. Things can change, and things will change. So never give up. So anyway, then I became really successful at what I was doing. I was really, really good at sales, because sales to me isn't sales. Sales to me is having something that's friggin' amazing that is going to help somebody. So selling a solution, but doing it in a way that has meaning and connection. And this is how when I mentor people, this is what I talk about. Sales doesn't have to be like this big thing. It's just, but you do have to do it. Otherwise your business is great, So
very important part of business. Yes, definitely.
Very, very important.
Yes.
But I loved it. And, I was like 21. I was a manager of my own estate agency office. I then became the most successful in my region in the Southwest. I won all the competitions for like 4 years. I ended up having 3 offices, and so my income just increased and increased. Being commission-based, I was earning shitloads of money. I got headhunted, my career kind of, I was headhunted again, and so my wages increased. I got a lot of opposition from men in business, because as a estate agent, people didn't like it that you were a woman and you were successful and all of that bullshit. And yeah, then I was 27. It was 2007. And I decided that I could do better than anyone else. And I wanted to start my own business. So I'd had 12 years in the estate agency business or industry, and I decided that I wanted to innovate and disrupt, and I wanted to change the market. So in I went with this big vision, and it was scary, like from having an employed wage to then going, shit.
Big step, definitely. Yeah.
Entrepreneur. And they're the risks. But within 5 months, I had hit my 12 months, sorry, God, that would have been amazing. My 12-month business plan. And because I love strategy and I love stats, I love tracking and seeing how well I've done. And so competition is great. With yourself, it's even better. I love it.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it, and it was just amazing. And every year within the first 18 months, I was turning over 6 figures. And I continued to do that for probably just over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I hit 10 years and I had a team at that point, a prestigious office, beautiful. I was doing very well. I was in the top 5 estate agents in where I live here in Devon, and lots of my customers have been customers for years and years, and my staff have worked for me for years and years, and blah, blah, blah. And I hit a point where I was growing so fast, I couldn't quite keep up financially.
Yeah.
And we term that as cash flow crisis.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah.
I'd just gone through a divorce 6 months before, so I was a mom on my own to 3 boys. And I was like, shit. Okay, bookkeeper, okay, let's make cuts. Where can I make cuts? So it's the first thing you do. And you don't want to get rid of your team because without them, you can't generate income. So it's a difficult decision,
isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
And so I made cuts, and some people got annoyed because, you know, sometimes in business you have contracts, and if you can't afford a contract and you have to, I'm really sorry if I just don't have the funds, you have to have those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And then 6 months went on and it was really tough, really tough. The harder useful on the outside, but in the inside, you're just screaming like, fucking hell, this is tough. But you have to be so strong for your team. So you have to put on this big kind of, oh, morning, everyone. Yeah, how was your week? And inside, you're like, fuck, how am I going to pay them this month? Fuck. So then this kind of energy came in with money. And the only income that I had coming through was through sales. My sales manager left me, not because anything happened, you know, in respect to what I had done, but they decided that they wanted to leave. They weren't getting on with my sales negotiator and things were a bit like difficult between them. So he left. So that then meant that I had to step back into his role. As you know, when somebody leaves, somebody's got to fill that position. So then I was being swamped, which is really hard when you're trying to run a big business. And all of this happened. And anyway, if we kind of fast forward it a little bit, because it's important to give you an idea of what was happening and how I felt at the time. But the money coming into the business was through sales and through rentals.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, I then had hit that cash flow, tried to survive, didn't want to lose my business. How I had my own home and my kids and my staff, and I inside genuinely thought it would be okay.
Yeah.
I believed still that it was going to be okay. I started to look at investment. So I looked at people that could maybe come in and invest in my business. And it didn't work. So I was working with somebody who was a multimillionaire, who had 7 or 8 businesses, who promised me the world, and over 7 to 8 months ended up leaving me even more in debt. And the amount just started to just go up and up and up. And the only way that I could survive was by using some of the money within my business, which would have been from sales and rents and deposits.
Yeah.
And as somebody that has a huge amount of integrity, going against my values broke me massively. And I held so much shame and guilt. I had no way out. And then it was just before Christmas. Martin and I, my partner, we'd met in September. So he was kind of trying to keep me together.
Yeah.
Thank God he came into my life. Oh God, he came into my life. Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we tried to get away from all the pressure, and we went to Edinburgh in this like Airbnb, and the business investor said, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to put the money into the business. Yet he had signed 50%, had promised, stay as you are, don't make any change, all of these things.
Yeah.
And because I didn't protect myself legally, I had nothing. I had no protection. And again, that's a real valuable lesson, is if you go into business with somebody, have that legal protection, especially against your money. Now, when I was in business for about the 10-year kind of mark, I took out a loan. It wasn't a massive amount, but I took out a loan to refurbish my office. And because a loan was attached to my business, I then tried to borrow money again through my loan. So I then upped to my loan. And what happened in the end, when it all kind of came to a head in January and February of 2019, was because I had the loan, I then had to go bankrupt because I owed money to creditors. I didn't actually have any personal debt, massive. I mean, I had a Next account, and but I wasn't like somebody that racked up debts.
No, it was just business.
I didn't even have a credit card, actually, so I wasn't too bad, like, personally. But because of that trust, because I didn't recognize a point in the business where I should have just stopped.
Yeah.
Because of that, not having due diligence and not having legal protection and signing a PG on a business loan, I then was in a position where I was attacked by the press heavily. I was completely broken and suicidal. I lost £125,000 of my money in my business trying to survive. I owed so many people money, and it pained me inside. And just seeing my car being taken away, my home, and in full sale on my home, which is where I'm just about to move now, 2 years later. And my kids witnessing all of this. It really hurts. But I share this story because in business, there is always a risk of failure. There is always a risk that things go wrong. And our business, especially for me, and I think for you, is more than just a business.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And so when we're emotionally attached to our business, we will do anything to keep it going and keep it surviving.
Protect it. Yes. Yeah.
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 So it basically, losses really, really hurt. Like, I've had lots of stuff in life, adversity, and stuff that people would hate to go through. And I talk about this on my other talks, but the business loss and the shame, the financial shame, is the hardest thing I have ever gone through. So how do you come back from that, and what do you learn? Because this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be stepping forwards every single day if I didn't believe in myself. So the first thing for me was rediscovering who I was. I couldn't go back into property. I let so many people down, and yet so many people still supported me because they knew that I wasn't a bad person. And those that shamed me and made me feel horrific in the paper and the press, or doubted me, I really am not a bad person. And I appreciate that judgment will come from somebody's eyes based on their own situation and circumstances. But I had to move forward. I couldn't live in that moment. So, and I needed to survive financially. So I had to trust again. And the trust started with myself. And I knew that I never wanted anybody to ever go through what I went through. So the first thing for me was going into business mentoring and helping women in business and helping men in business, and awakening them to blind spots because their shortness of sighting and their sometimes, you know, we think risk and we kind of just go, well, it's a risk. But opening people's eyes to what can happen is a good thing, because it helps them to go into a situation without any kind of grey areas. Yeah. So I go in and I'm like, right, well, this could happen, or that could happen, or cash flow, right, where are you? Whereas some new business owners don't look at their cash flow. Mm-hmm. And it's the first thing I ask is like, right, where are you? What are your plans? What is your vision for your life? Because they're all interlinked. Yeah. And so I get great pleasure in helping people to start business, or to maintain business, or to build resilience in business, because it's really good for my soul, and it feels good, and I love it. So that's what I do now. And I've had to kind of go through that journey. I've had to invest and work on myself. It's been frustrating, of course, not having at times money. I felt kind of, will people want to work with me because of what's happened? You know, or because I'm not earning six figures right now, or but actually people, I think, respect me for being very truthful, and I do stand in my truths and share them. But longer term, in order to build a sustainable business, and in order to be able to bounce forwards, I knew that I didn't want to stay where I was. I knew that my kids deserved more from their mum. And so I really have just head down, relentless every day, turning up, even when I don't feel like it, to just change things, lead change. And obviously with COVID and everything else, it's been like everyone's felt it in some way. But I'm turning a corner, and it feels good. It feels amazing, because it's paying off. My work is helping other people. And I realized that I wasn't meant to be doing that. I was destined for something different. And I do believe I got to just trust in that process and learn to intuitively live every day in that moment, and be very grateful for the good things that do come to me, and the people that do trust me, and the people that do support me in my work. Because it wasn't always doom and gloom. You know, I did have a very successful business, so I know how to scale up. I know how to scale down, actually, now. So I've got quite extreme highs and award winning, and you know, I mean, I had 3 years in a row gold awards for the property awards, which were the UK ones. I've won the Sunday Times, yeah, all of those things. I did loads of charity, blah, 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 blah. So I've done all of that. Yeah. But yeah, so the last thing really, I suppose, to share is, and thank you for letting me share this as well, I talk about my business story, but maybe not quite about the money. So this is the first time that I've really shared that with anyone, apart from obviously, you know, my family and stuff. So was money blockers.
Yes.
Okay, so when you're so sick and ill because of what you've done and what has happened to you, and what had happened with my business investor as well, and how that made me feel, he wasn't obviously put across the papers, but hey, it felt so personal, and the guilt and shame is the hardest thing to really let go. But it was attached with money, because I'd been kind of like, it was almost like a Rob Peter Paul. It's like, right, that's going to have to go there. Right, we've got money. Right, we pay that back. Right now, you know, and it was constantly like this. Not for obviously years and years, but just whilst all of that was happening, and it was so hard to find the right resources and the right help to kind of almost unlock that money blocker, that guilt and shame attached to money. And I did so, actually. A lady called Marina Beach She did a 11/11, and this was like last year in 2020. I did this Akashic Records, and it was kind of like a meditative thing, and she kind of took me back in the subconscious mind, basically. And literally I cried, Julie, for it, just the tears, but my stomach just let go. And I felt that immediate release of just like, phew, and I felt so much lighter.
Yeah.
And now I have my financial vision boards, I have my financial goals, have a weekly goals check, because I didn't want it to stop me becoming money orientated. Yeah. Because I still want to create a legacy, like later on in life, to leave that for women that have gone through adversity and things like this. So to be able to do those things, I need to build wealth. I need to be able to accept money, and I need to be able to give money. So that releasing of that money blocker was huge for me. And it's literally like, since I've done that, I've been on fire. Everything's happening so much quicker than even the house move than I expected. And it's great. And my courses are selling, and all of the things that I'm doing are working. And I think it's because I've truly just gone, that's it, I've let go. I shouldn't have to feel that shame. I failed. My business failed, but I did the best I could. Yeah. And I genuinely didn't do anything with any bad attempt, or, I wasn't trying to be fraudulent or dodgy or any of those things. It happened, and it happens. And not everybody that gets themselves in those situations is a bad person.
Bad things happen to good people. It's just, moving forward from that. So, and I have to say, Kelly, it's been, obviously I've known you a few months, and I've sort of followed you, and your story and your passion is just incredible. And listening to your story, you have gone through so much adversity, and you've bounced back every time. You should be so proud of your achievements. I'll cry as well, so don't you dare. So it's not supposed to be a crying podcast. It's supposed to be like a positive podcast. But honestly,
well, there is positivity, because
there is.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But there is positivity.
Yeah,
because the more that we share our stories like this, the real truth, not the bullshit, the fucking shiny brigade. Because look, women in business, men in business, we're not all like flash cars, we're just hardworking people that want more for ourselves and more for our families. But every entrepreneur, like I've done over 60 odd podcast shows now, interviews, and there's always a reason for that entrepreneur becoming what they are.
Yeah.
And this is what I realized with me there was a reason. And then when I understood that actually I wanted to do more than that, and I've been through multiple adversity through childhood, through, my 30s, my 40s with business, there isn't really
the 40s are your period. Look, you haven't got you're only just in your 40s. This is going to be your time.
It is. I'm like, literally, I'm just I wouldn't be who I am without, and neither would anybody that's listening now. None of us are who we are without those knocks. The challenge is the adversity is what kind of makes us. Nobody wants to go through that pain, but it does shape us.
Yeah,
and we need people that are strong enough to be able to talk about it, to break down the barriers. And so financially, if we all came onto your show and said, oh, it's great, I love running my own business because there's loads of money, and and it's great when things are going well, but there is another side to it.
Yeah.
And as business owners, we are people.
Yeah, and there's going to be very, very, very few people out there in business who haven't struggled at the start, come across adversity, and it's really important that business owners realize, especially when you're starting out, that there's going to be downs and there's going to be ups, and you just need to get yourself through those down times, because the good times are great, but there's always going to be adversity out there, but it'll be worth it. The good stuff will make it worthwhile.
What I've noticed with other people, and it's happened to me, and I'm just hoping that this is what it is, because I am beginning to step into my power, and I've discovered my strength, my resilience, and I call them my survival wings. I've got great big scars on my back, like Brené Brown talks about, in the fucking depths of the arena. I know how that feels. I will never judge anyone. I never, I always come from a place of love and empathy.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, but I'm also ready to step into that global arena and share my truths to the world, and to make a difference, and to inspire others. Because when it goes well, it's really good, but then there's ways in which I recognize that actually, had I had a mentor, had I had a husband that I could maybe talk to, or all of those things, then I would have had support. Had I had courses and training, I would have had the knowledge, but it was just little me. So it's really, really difficult. But I think now, for me, that's why I've decided to go in as a business mentor, even though it's quite a busy market, because I do believe that I'm different, and I can go in and not just pioneer and champion the entrepreneur, because I know what it takes, but also I know they deserve to be financially rewarded for their work. But at the same time, I can also see blind spots. And are you looking at your finances? Have you got to a point in your business where you're 6-7 figures and actually just giving it to an accountant and a bookkeeper and avoiding looking at your statements? Because that's not good.
No, you need to
especially with all the new technology, people forget to look at their actual statements.
There's definitely, and it's just understanding it. And if you don't understand what the accountant does, doing your own spreadsheets so you understand it, is just it hasn't got to be complicated. It doesn't have to be really, really like, oh my god, it's just a whole other language. It can just be, you work on it until you understand it. And if you don't understand.
And also, when you've got money, what do you do with it? How much do you reinvest back into your business? At what point do you reinvest? At what point do you invest in yourself? At what point? There's so many different, and people don't wake up and go, oh, here we go, there's a business manual, right, this is how I run my business, because it doesn't happen. So
another thing is, what are you running your business for? What are you leaving behind? And that's a massive area that we see a lot, is like people in business, and it's like, well, what are you going to do when you retire? Is this going to be like a legacy? Do you want this to be your retirement plan? And so many people don't think about what they're going to do when they retire, because retirement just seems something that's never going to happen. And what do we work for? At the end of the day, we work, yes, we work, and we obviously put our message out, and we obviously want do amazing things to help many people, but also you need to help yourself. That's a really important part of that. So definitely, definitely. So no, you do a really, very, very valuable job, Kelly, and it's fantastic. So, and thank you so much for sharing your money journey with us. And sorry for the tears, I do apologize. So.
It's okay, it's cool.
No, that's fine. So I think obviously the questions I had for you about your money regrets and what lessons you've learned, I think you've covered all of those. So definitely. So because obviously the money journey is part of the Money Compass group, I've just put a little question in about, where was your most favorite place you've ever visited?
I can really
ending. So.
Well, I love the fact that we live in a world where we can just kind of hop off anywhere, and this is why I love what I do now, because Martin and I intend to have a very fluid business model now. And we've got some crazy ideas, so we've got our life vision and our financial vision as well, and it's so important. But the one place I would choose to go to, and it would be amazing, it's San Gimignano in Italy. And it's a medieval town, and I've been there before, and it's just beautiful. But the valleys and the vines and the people and the food, it'd be amazing. I would love to go back there again.
If you click your fingers, that's where you'd be now. Yes.
With a nice pool and a villa and
No, that sounds absolutely fantastic.
as well.
Oh, brilliant. So before we finish off, Kelly, and thank you so much for your journey and story. It's been fantastic. I know that you've got a really big, exciting event coming up next month, which I know actually I'm part of, which I'm also very, very excited about. Would you like to just tell our listeners a little bit about the event? And obviously we'll put in the podcast notes some details of where they can find out more information as well.
Brilliant. Julie, I invited you. I mean, with our events, we only bring in people that we know are going to come in and be aligned really with what we're trying to achieve. And that is that real educating people about money and financial intelligence. And so again, some events have all these big flashy things, and we've got some of that, it's great. We have lots of flash, but we wanted to have on all of our events, that realistic, right, we still need to be really protecting our financial wealth and also adopting a very positive financial mindset too. So I couldn't have thought of anybody better to invite to talk about that, to be honest. So thank you for agreeing to speak. But we're so blessed, and again, I'm very grateful because I've done lots of events in my years in business, and I love it, and I love organising it, and getting the right people together, the right formula really does make a difference to people's lives. So we have Vikas Markani, who is the world's #1 wisdom coach. He talks about your unique DNA and how you can aim for success, but that success is about your vision. Derry Llewellyn Davies, who's a very good friend of mine and has really stood by my side. Fantastic mentor, and he's going to be talking about really getting specific. So come on, 5 seconds, what do you want? Really knowing your answers. And I love that because people can flaff around it sometimes, but we need to be really precise in business. Lara Morgan, again, some incredible lady, used to have a huge business. I don't know if you know of her, but she's incredible, and she's just no bullshit, straight talking. More balls than most is her book, so that kind of gives you a clue. She's going to be talking about sales, because without having sales, without having the confidence of sales, we don't have a business. We have got Alison Stockton, who is a very good friend of mine, and especially I think for women, but also for men, we kind of as entrepreneurs put ourselves at the back of the queue, and we have to think about our own health, nutrition, water intake, and all those things that help us to perform at peak. So she's going to help us to narrate that as well. We've got so many amazing people. Even Martin's going to be talking about effective communication in business. He's obviously the truths coach, so he's all about truths. I'm going to be sharing my 24 years worth of sales and marketing, talking about innovation, disruption, especially for online. As you know, we've got the amazing Lisa Johnson, who's going to be talking to us about passive income, which we all need. We need several streams of income, not just one. Ruth Coodsey, who's another incredible lady, talking about not doing or going alone, because then you won't do what I did. We need other people to be able to look at our blind spots and stretch us sometimes, to our goals. So she's going to be doing a talk on mentoring, coaching, and actually not going alone in business. But we've got 20 speakers in total. It's over 14 days. It's interactive. It's fun. You don't have to be there on every one, because we've made it lovely and easy. We've got this. You can log in. You can access the content at any time till the 31st of March. So you get almost like 12 weeks of content. Because I know that some people in business are very busy, so you just buy your ticket and then you can watch any time. But it's all about becoming that extraordinary. It all starts with ourselves, but also having the tools, the resources to step over that edge and be extraordinary in business too. So yeah, purpose, power, prosperity. And it's all about having those business breakthroughs. You can find the details on our website, but that's just weareovertheedge.com. Or you can look for us online. We've got a Facebook community, which is a new entrepreneurial world, because that is what I love. And yeah, just join us. I mean, it's literally like 100 quid for coming to join us for those 2 weeks, or 115. You can have it for evergreen, for life.
No, that is fantastic, Kelly. So thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
And I'm sure I'll speak to you soon. So, and
yeah, I'm sure you will.
I'm sure that all our listeners will find your journey very, very interesting, like I have as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Julie.
If you've enjoyed today's podcast, you can head over to www.recipeforfinancialsuccess.co.uk, where you can find out more information about today's guest. If you'd like to get more involved, share your own experiences, and learn from a friendly community on a similar journey to you, why not join us in our Facebook group, The Money Compass, where we will support you to navigate your way to financial success. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.